What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Black Experience. I'm your host, Hermes Hagos here, and today I have another solo podcast for y'all, where I'll be doing something new, something that I've never done before. Today, I'll be bringing y'all the 10 lessons that I've learned from my 100-plus guests that I've had on this podcast. That's right, y'all. I've had over 100-plus guests on this podcast, 100-plus episodes, and with that comes a lot of reflection, especially with my golden nugget question that I love to end the podcast with. What is the advice people would give to the younger generation? These are my hand-picked lessons learned that I wanted to share with y'all, as well as a little nudge for everyone to go back to those episodes and watch them in full to get even more wisdom and even more advice. Starting off with the first one, Lead with Your Strengths, Not Your Weaknesses, by Ken Miller. Ken Miller, successful businessman, an author, and a resilience coach, shared this fact with us. The importance of going about and leading with your strengths and not your weaknesses. We all have both, right? We all have our strengths. We all have weaknesses. But our purpose, our why, lies in those strengths. Find out what your strengths are and lead with them. Because through your strengths, you'll provide value to others and to the world, most importantly, and help others. Very powerful one. Second one, Speak Life into Others, by our great poet, Chemistry. Chemistry, I had on the podcast last year, and she shared a lot of things. Not just through her poems that she read, both in the beginning and the end, but also in the middle, where she shared her life story and the importance of words and speaking life into others. Y'all, words have power into them. What we say to others and to ourselves has impact, has weight to it. So speak life into others. Say things to people that you would want them said back to you. Don't say things that you don't want people to say back to you. The importance of this Chemistry led with is affirming each other, affirming someone in something that they're doing. Whether they're a firefighter, whether they're a poet as well, like her, whether they're a podcaster like me, affirming that person, speaking life into them, saying positive things about them. You have no idea how much that can mean to someone and the impact that can make. So speak life into others, y'all. The third one, Take a Bet on Yourself, by Mike Perry. CEO and founder of Bellwether Real Estates, Mike Perry shared with me to take a bet on myself. In fact, he even used my podcast as an example. You know, he said, it's because I took a bet on myself that I'm doing this podcast. Everything that we aim to do, right? Whether we succeed in it or not succeed in it, is an experience. So we do those things, and ultimately, we learn from them. Whether that be our strength or weakness, like Ken Miller had said, we'll find out. But we'll only do that by taking that action, taking that first step. Take that bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. If you want to start a podcast, start that podcast. Take a bet on yourself. See how far you can go. See where you can go. See the impact that you can have on people. And most importantly, what we have to remember that Perry emphasized is that you'll be fine. That you are still here. That all the experiences that made up my life in the past, that make up your life, we got through it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here watching or listening to me right now, and I wouldn't be here recording this to you. Take a bet on yourself, y'all. You just never know how far you'll go. Our fourth lesson that I picked, that I learned, that was very powerful, is, quote, Love yourself and others around you, by James Miles, a.k.a. Fresh Professor in the building. Now, for those of y'all who saw the episode, James Miles is a former TEDx speaker. He is the former executive director of Third Stone, which is the nonprofit that runs and operates Bumbershoot. He's also a former educator. And he emphasized the importance of loving yourself as well as others. He emphasized it so much that he mentioned a poem by Luis Valdez called En Lakesh. in which it talks about you are my other me. If I love me, I love you. If I hurt you, I hurt me. Whatever we do to others comes back to us because you are my other me. And what a way to look at life, y'all. In fact, that actually connects with the saying, treat others how you want to be treated. It's that simple. You know, these are things that we know, things that we've heard of before. But what does it actually look like to actually put those things into practice? When you're actually in the moment having a conversation with someone. When it can even be someone who is being a little bit difficult. But remembering this fact that you are my other me. If I'm hurting you, if I'm annoying you, therefore I'm trying to do that to myself. I'm doing that to myself. So let's treat others with love and respect, and let's treat others the way we want to be treated. Make others feel the way we want to feel, which is good, right? Powerful stuff, powerful stuff. Number 5 is respect your elders, y'all. Respect your elders. And this is for me too, you know, as a youngster. And this was said by Jonathan Roebuck, a former WW alumni who I had on the podcast, you know, and we talked about a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. We talked about so many things about Western Washington University in his time, 70s and 80s, compared to my time, and the changes, diversity, the history of Bellingham, the history of Whatcom County, Black Panthers, desegregation of busing, Dr. Martin Luther King, so many things. But this is one of the golden nuggets that he ended with, respecting your elders. You know, when my grandparents came to visit from back home, I cherished that. I really did. In fact, one of my favorite memories from my grandfather is seeing him go to the community center and take English classes with the other elders and people from our community, from Eritrea, that were just learning English. And his resilience and his fight and his determination to get it down. The man is in his 80s at the time, y'all. And he still puts the time in to go and learn a new language after already speaking more than 3. To the point where he takes notes and practices it with our other neighbor who was an elderly man. But the fact that I had such fascination about that and such inspiration that I took that inspiration and put it into this podcast. Yeah, we got to respect our elders. Our elders are of high impact to us. They can bestow a lot of wisdom to us. They may not understand our generation necessarily. They may not understand the ways of social media, but they can have a lot of wisdom. They can share a lot of good things that we can take away from. Number 6 is Know Your Financial Triggers by Miladies Garcia, the Special Populations Program Supervisor at FEPPP. Now, Miladies is someone I had on the podcast a few weeks ago where we talked about financial literacy in public schools and how FEPPP is doing that in public schools today. You know, the importance of learning taxes, which is something I wish I learned in high school. What is the tax system? How does the tax bracket work? All that good stuff that is very applicable in real life. But knowing the importance of knowing your financial triggers. What are those things that trigger you to spend money impulsively? Is it snacks? Is it sweets like me? Is it concerts? There's nothing wrong with going to these. In fact, it's the summertime and there's never been more events. This is the season of events, of going out, of spending that money. As you should. But responsibly. And so take note of those financial triggers, what she talked about. What are those financial triggers and how do you work around them? All right? How do you fix them? And how do you say, okay, you know what? If this is a trigger for me, maybe I shouldn't put myself in this situation. If going out is a financial trigger for me, then maybe I might have to say no to going out tonight. Now, these are decisions that in the moment are very difficult. But in the long run, you'll thank yourself for saving that money. So awesome episode. Check it out. You'll learn a lot more about financial triggers and a lot more about financial literacy and what her organization is doing to bring that education to public schools. Number 7 is you have to talk to someone. by Keena Greer Brashear, real estate agent in Bellingham. Keena and I had a fantastic talk last summer in July, almost a year ago, where we talked about so many things: disco, 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, music, the genre, the culture, rap in the 90s versus today, how we all feel about that. We talked about a lot of things. And you have to talk to someone is so important. We live in a generation where social media dominates our lives, where ChatGPT could be that person that some people talk to, that social media is that person they talk to. But human-to-human connection and communication can never be underestimated. If you're going through something, if you're going through bullying, if you're going through something rough, share it with someone. Share it with someone that you trust. Be it a best friend, be it a therapist, be it whatever it may be. If you're going through something, you have to talk to somebody. She shared that about bullying in school, cyberbullying, health problems. Hey, if you got health problems, hey, talk to your doctor about it. Hey, you got this, you got that, talk to someone about it. Even I myself sometimes do not want to show weakness. And I think it would be weakness, right? In the past, I thought of asking for help, asking for advice, seeking someone to counsel me would be seen as a weakness, but it's not weakness. Asking for help, asking for advice, seeking that is not only good for you mentally, but also physically as well, especially if it's a health issue that you're dealing with. So talk to someone today. As we're nearing the end, y'all, we have 3 more powerful ones. And number 8, coming at you with number 8 is be both willing to ask and answer questions. This was said by Sheriff of Whatcom County, Sheriff Tanksley, who I had on the podcast last summer as well. Last spring. And we hear too often to ask questions, which we should ask questions. But we must also be willing to answer questions as well, because it's a two-way street. Be both curious and ask those questions. Be bold and ask those questions that you want to ask so that we can learn. But then also answer those questions, because when doing that, you can't have one without the other, right? And when both happens, both parties learn from each other. Both parties grow together from whatever that conversation may be. It expands your opportunity to learn the other person's culture, the other person, their perspective, their view, their knowledge, their experiences, and vice versa. Number 9 is you'd rather have influence than affluence. I'm going to say that again, y'all. You would rather have influence than affluence. And this was by Coach BY, football coach Brian Young, who shared this powerful quote with me. At the time, I didn't know how that made sense. The world is run by money. Why wouldn't you want to have affluence? Well, sure, that's true. But with influence, you can move millions of people. You can inspire millions of people. And through that, through those people being inspired and using their gifts and talents that I talked about earlier to impact others, through creating that value, the byproduct is that affluence, is that money that will come with it. So you want to influence people in positive ways because the money will come. Most importantly, you got to be people first. So that's the way I interpreted that quote. And that hit home with me. Money is important, but people are more important. And influencing those people are more important. Influencing them in a way, inspiring them in a way to tap into their potential. So let's do that. And last but not least, y'all, lesson number 10 that I've learned from my countless podcasts is by the interim CEO of Northwest Youth Services in Bellingham, Lance Jones. where he says, smile at someone today. Wave at somebody. Glance at somebody. Give someone a head nod. Hug someone. Whatever it may be. You just never know what that might do for them. There are hundreds of people that we come across on a daily basis, especially if you're out and about in Pioneer Square area, especially in the summer. There's so many people that we come across on the sidewalk, taking pictures, at concerts, whatever it may be. Smiling at someone, giving someone a head nod, that might just make their day. That's what Lance emphasized here. The importance of using your ability and saying, hey, you know what? If I smile at this person, that might just be their highlight of the day, because we never know what people are going through. And so if we don't know what people are going through, I've had countless times in my life where someone has smiled at me, a stranger smiles at me, gives me a head nod, a hello, a wave, whatever it may be. And that gets me out of my rut, gets me out of a bad mood, and propels me into the day. So continue to love others, continue to smile, continue to give a head nod to people, as you never know what that may do for them. So that right there, y'all, are the 10 lessons that I've learned from my podcast that I wanted to share with y'all today and bring it to y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this awesome episode. Comment down below which lesson that you thought resonated most with you. Comment down below a lesson that maybe wasn't stated here that you heard on a previous episode that hit home for you. Subscribe, hit that like button. And for everyone that came last Saturday to my event, I want to thank you all so much again. Until the very next episode, y'all. Peace. What is up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in to that episode. Make sure to click the subscribe, follow button, as well as the bell to get notified on all my new content that is coming out every Wednesday and every other day. And make sure to click that link in the description down below to get access to all my socials and any other platforms that I have my podcast on. And until next time, y'all, peace.